If you're one of those people who sees Cole Palmer stuttering in his interviews and thinks he's daft, I have bad news for you. It's time to fix your eyes on the screen and realize that Palmer is one of the smartest players in the Premier League. No matter what happens off the pitch, this lad has been producing impressive numbers since he was a child. The most curious thing is that, in scouts' reports, the first thing they mention is never his dribbling or goals, but rather his football intelligence. Palmer is undoubtedly a football genius. Let's go back to 2010, when this young lad was still caught between after-school detentions, watching his father play in Sunday League, and his own grassroots football matches. From that point on, everyone around him knew that Cole had something special. His first coach used to say, "Every time I'm about to shout at him for doing something odd, I realize 5 seconds later that he's made a pass I would never have seen at his age." From a very early age, major clubs like Liverpool, Manchester City, and his childhood club, Manchester United, were already vying for him. However, despite all the pressure, Palmer remained cool as a cucumber. When United told him he would only be coming for a trial, Palmer turned his back and joined City, showing from that moment on that he wouldn't let anything or anyone hold him back. In 2018, Manchester City's academy held a meeting to decide which players they would release. Surprisingly, Cole Palmer's name was on the list. Despite having shown extraordinary potential, his teammates had outgrown him, and his performances hadn't been the best for 2 consecutive seasons. The management was looking for more dominant and quicker players. However, just when they were about to make a final decision, Jason Wilcox, the academy director, intervened and annulled Palmer's release. What did Wilcox see in him? He explained clearly, "He's extremely intelligent. You lot can't even see what he sees on the pitch." That vote of confidence was crucial, and in the following 12 months, Cole Palmer grew from 1.70 meters to 1.88 meters. A year later, he was not only captain of City's under-18 team that won the league, but also scored 20 goals in just 1,100 minutes. He led the team to the FA Youth Cup final, where he not only scored the equalizing goal but also netted the winner. At that moment, Palmer lifted his shirt to reveal a picture of his former teammate Jeremy Wisten, who tragically took his own life after City released him from the academy during the pandemic. Palmer is not the loudest player off the pitch, but on the field, he leaves everything on the pitch. Over the next 3 years, his rise was unstoppable, although the full reward never quite arrived. Despite regularly training with the first team and excelling in the under-23 squad, averaging 19 goal contributions in 1,200 minutes, he struggled to secure a permanent spot in Pep Guardiola's squad in the following season. He made brief appearances in the League Cup and the Champions League, scoring his first goal with the first team. However, the most striking thing was his determination. After scoring in the Champions League, he ran straight to the changing room, grabbed his things, and headed straight to play with the under-23s, where that same day he scored a hat-trick. When journalists asked him about his unusual decision, he simply replied, "If there's a game somewhere, I want to be in it." Although that kind of performance earned him more call-ups to the first team, opportunities remained scarce. By January, he had been named man of the match in his first game of the year, but a foot injury sidelined him for 3 months. Despite this, Palmer averaged a goal contribution every 85 minutes under Guardiola. However, the promise of next year will be your turn remained just words. With Raheem Sterling and Gabriel Jesus leaving the squad, it seemed that his chance would finally arrive. However, the reality was different. Palmer made 25 appearances throughout the season, but averaged only 25 minutes of playing time per match. Frustrated, Palmer knew that things had to change. So, 12 days after the Champions League final, he participated in the Under-21 European Championship. Although he started slowly, once he saw Morgan Gibbs-White miss a penalty in the semi-finals, Palmer took charge. He assisted the first goal, scored the second, and helped with the third, leading England to victory. 3 days later, he scored the decisive free kick that gave them the trophy, becoming a European champion on his own terms. Palmer graduated from Manchester City's academy after 13 years of service, but when he returned to the club after his feat with England, the situation was not what he had expected. Despite putting City ahead in the Community Shield against Arsenal, only for the team to lose the title in the final minutes, and saving the team in the UEFA Super Cup with a crucial goal, Pep Guardiola offered him a new long-term contract. However, Palmer had other plans. The young player decided it was time to change direction. For weeks, City tried to convince him to stay, but when the club signed a £65 million winger, Palmer knew his time there had come to an end. For days later, Chelsea, having failed to sign Michael Olise, entered negotiations for a mystery attacker. To the surprise of many, that player turned out to be Cole Palmer. Some Chelsea fans were skeptical about the signing of Palmer, a 21-year-old player with only 1,440 minutes of professional football under his belt. However, in his first match as a starter, Palmer proved his worth. Not only did he score his first goal for the club, but he was also named man of the match. From there, his rise was meteoric. Goals against Burnley, Arsenal, and Tottenham, along with decisive assists and standout performances, established him as one of Chelsea's brightest prospects. The critics who once doubted his ability are now forced to acknowledge his talent. Even Chelsea's manager, Mauricio Pochettino, remarked, "It's as if he has been here for 10 years. But the biggest challenge was yet to come. Facing Manchester City, his former club, in one of the most thrilling matches of the season, Palmer had the opportunity to seal the draw for Chelsea with a penalty in the 95th minute. Without hesitation, he took the ball and placed it in the top corner, displaying impressive composure under pressure. When journalists asked him if he felt nervous, he simply replied, "Not really." This kind of mentality, combined with his technical skill and vision, has led to his call-up for the England national team. Palmer has not only proven to be a prodigy on the pitch but also possesses the mindset of a veteran. After emerging from the shadows of Manchester City, he has flourished at Chelsea, demonstrating that he is a special player. In his short career, Palmer has already achieved more than many footballers dream of: league titles, cups, and he is now on the path to becoming one of the brightest stars in English football. Although some still criticize him for being young or lacking experience, Palmer continues to show that he has everything necessary to be a great. At just 21, the future seems to be full of opportunities for this football genius. Despite having experienced a small streak without goals or assists, Cole Palmer has shown that he has the character and skill to overcome any obstacle. And with only 12 starts for Chelsea, he has already reached impressive figures in goal contributions, making it clear that his career is just beginning. As some analysts would say, last year he wasn't even considered to play in the Champions League final, and now he's the Player of the Year for Chelsea. While this may seem exaggerated, the truth is that Palmer has all the potential to be one of the standout players of his generation. In the short term, Cole Palmer finds himself at a decisive stage in his career. After being part of Manchester City and showcasing glimpses of his quality under Pep Guardiola, Palmer has now made the leap to Chelsea, a club where he can have more minutes and responsibilities. With City, Palmer was primarily seen as an emerging talent, taking advantage of the opportunities presented to him in competitions like the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup, and he even had important appearances in the Premier League and the Champions League. At Chelsea, Palmer is in an environment where the team has adopted a youth development policy under the guidance of coaches like Mauricio Pochettino, which could be very beneficial for his growth. The change of scenery offers him the chance to become a key player in the team's attacking midfield. Furthermore, Chelsea's squad has been refreshed recently, and Palmer has the opportunity to establish himself as one of the young talents leading the club's future. Regarding his playing style, Palmer is an attacking midfielder or winger who can play in various positions across the front line, giving him a tactical advantage in a team that seeks flexibility. In the short term, Palmer is expected to establish himself in Chelsea's first team and gain experience by playing regularly in the Premier League and other competitions. His immediate goal will be to secure a starting position, earning the trust of his coach and developing his impact in key matches in the medium term. Cole Palmer could become one of the most important young footballers in the Premier League, provided he continues to develop and seize the opportunities presented to him. By 2025 to 2028, Palmer should be reaching his peak development, having gained experience in both domestic and international competitions. If his progression continues as expected, Palmer could be regarded as one of the league's most creative players, utilizing his vision, technique, and ability to play between the lines. Furthermore, during this period, his leadership at Chelsea could solidify, as he becomes one of the players leading the team in competition for major titles, both domestically and in Europe. The Premier League is an extremely competitive league, and if Palmer manages to stand out as one of Chelsea's key players, he will earn a great reputation in English football. During this time, it is also likely that Palmer will become a regular member of the England national team. Although he has already been called up at youth levels, his aim will be to feature regularly for the senior team. The competition for a place in the England squad is fierce, with players like Phil Foden, Bukayo Saka, and Mason Mount vying for similar positions. But Palmer has the necessary talent to challenge for a spot. International competitions like Euro 2028 or the 2026 World Cup would be key moments for Palmer to prove his worth on the national stage. In the long term, Cole Palmer has the potential to become one of the most important figures in English football if he continues to develop steadily. Like other young players who have emerged in English football, such as Jack Grealish or James Maddison, Palmer could become one of the creative benchmarks in British football. By this point in his career, Palmer should have already won several club titles with Chelsea or any other team he chooses to join. His evolution would allow him to be among the elite of European football, possibly attracting interest from other top clubs across the continent if he decides to seek new challenges outside England. At this stage, he could be establishing himself as one of the best players of his generation, with a successful career at the club level and with the England national team. Moreover, in the long term, Palmer could take on a leadership role within the England squad, especially if his generation of young players continues to shine. Depending on his performance in international competitions, he could be remembered as a fundamental piece in the recent history of English football. So far, Palmer has made a significant impact in the youth categories of the England national team. He has been part of the Under-21 team and has shown great performance in competitions like the UEFA Under-21 European Championship. Although his path to the senior squad is still developing, he has already proven to be a reliable player at the international youth level. The challenge for Palmer will be to establish himself in the senior team, which is filled with a wealth of young and emerging talent. Players like Phil Foden, Bukayo Saka, and Jude Bellingham are also in the running for positions similar to those Palmer could aspire to. Nonetheless, his ability to play in various attacking positions gives him a tactical advantage, which could facilitate his inclusion in the senior squad for important competitions. If he continues his progression at Chelsea and becomes an influential player in the Premier League, it is highly likely that Gareth Southgate or future England coaches will consider him for tournaments like Euro 2024 or the 2026 World Cup. Palmer has the talent needed to be an intriguing option in England's attack, whether as a starter or as an impact player off the bench in the long term. Cole Palmer's future in football looks bright, provided he remains focused on his development and avoids significant injuries. The Premier League is known for being a tough league, but Palmer has the technical quality and talent to excel in this competitive environment. His time at Chelsea offers him the chance to learn and grow in a team that seeks to restructure and compete for major titles once again. At the club level, his versatility opens many doors for him. It would not be surprising to see him attract interest from other elite teams in the future, whether in the Premier League or in other European leagues such as La Liga, Serie A, or the Bundesliga. Depending on his performance in the coming years, Palmer could become one of the big stars of English football and even be considered one of the best footballers in Europe. Over time, he could also take on a more central role in leadership within his team, something that tends to develop in players who establish themselves as key figures. Likewise, if he has a successful career, the future could hold opportunities for him outside of the pitch, such as coaching or becoming an ambassador for the sport, roles that many former high-level players often explore after retirement. To conclude, Cole Palmer has a promising future in the short, medium, and long term. His talent and versatility will allow him to compete at the highest level in both the Premier League and with the England national team. With Chelsea, he has the opportunity to grow and become a key player, while with England, his goal will be to establish himself in the senior squad and make his mark in international competitions. That's all for today. Thank you for watching our video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Stay tuned for our upcoming and exciting content about the world of sport. If you have any questions or suggestions, leave them in the comments. See you next time.